now we're on to one of our favorite dinners, and this dinner is ready in less than 30 minutes, which to me is pretty important when it comes to making dinner. If any of you guys are out there and agree, you're gonna love this one because it's super simple, but it looks like you spent hours in the kitchen to make it. So Sean, we're gonna make white chicken enchiladas. Homemade sauce and everything. It's just really delicious and really easy to come together.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have you shred up about 2 cups or about a pound of cooked chicken. So just take 2 forks and just kind of shred it.
Okay.
So pull it apart if you can. It doesn't have to be perfect, just so that it's bite-sized. And then I'll have you add some seasonings and some cheese to the chicken, and that's ready to go for the tortillas. I'm gonna make the sauce. So here I have 3 tablespoons of oat flour. And I'm just gonna kind of brown it just a little bit, toast it up in the pan over medium-low heat. And I just sprayed my pan with some cooking spray, but you could do a drizzle of olive oil as well. Just toasting up the oat flour kind of brings out the flavor. And this is essentially what you would do if you're making a roux or any type of white sauce, which is what we're making here. We're just toasting up the oat flour. Typically you'd use white flour, but we're gonna make it a little bit healthier with the oat flour. Then we have 2 cups of chicken stock that we're gonna add.
Is this looking okay?
Yep, that's looking perfect. Keep going until it's, really shred up.
Okay.
And I'm turning the heat up just a bit once I add my chicken stock. And then we're just gonna continue to whisk.
Is there a technique for this?
You're doing great. That's it. It looks perfect. No,
this does not look like
that's
chicken.
actually what it's supposed to look like. What are you thinking? You're thinking
I thought it was more like pulled pork.
No, that looks great. You just want it to be like shredded apart, so it's great.
They're very chunky.
So I'm gonna take my whisk, and once I add my chicken stock, I turned up the heat a little bit to like medium high, and I'm going to whisk this until the oat flour is completely dissolved. So you don't want any chunks. Sean's working hard over there. He needs to really. This is
harder than sewing, okay?
He needs to give his hands a break from that shredding, which is clearly grueling. And you don't want there to be any chunks in there, so just really whisk it until it's all dissolved. And Sean, that looks great for the chicken. You did good.
Thank you. I'm trying. I'm sweating.
I should have him join in making dinner more often so he realizes the laborious tasks, such as shredding chicken, that goes into it.
I think a blender would work.
Now, Sean, I'm gonna have you add ½ teaspoon of cumin, ½ teaspoon of paprika, ½ teaspoon of salt, and a ½ teaspoon of garlic powder. So just to kind of flavor the chicken. And then you can take one of the forks and kind of stir that in so it's combined. And you can see now that my white sauce is kind of coming together. The chicken broth and the oat flour are thickening up. You do want it to come to a simmer because that will really help break down the oat flour and also thicken the sauce. And then once you notice that it's thick enough to coat a spoon, so like I'm using a whisk here, but if you were to pull a spoon up and it kind of coats the back of a spoon, that's how you know it's ready. So I'm gonna turn the heat off completely once it gets to that point. You don't want it to burn. And then I'm gonna add my Greek yogurt and my green chilies. So I have 1 cup of Greek yogurt and 1 4-ounce can of green chilies, or you could use jalapenos if you like it a little more spicy.
How's this look?
That looks great. Now I have to say Sean and Maddie are both not adventurous eaters at all, and they both love this dish.
Yes, I love anything Mexican, honestly, though.
The first time that I gave you these white chicken enchiladas, I was a little bit nervous. I thought, it could be a little too far out there, just because it has, green chilies in it. Like just the littlest things sometimes can deter Sean and Maddie. But they both ate the entire plate and loved them. And green chilies aren't spicy enough that they would be too spicy for most kids, but you could always leave them out, and then just kind of pour some salsa verde over your enchiladas for the adults if that sounds good to you. So I'm just gonna mix this all together, and you can see how delicious this sauce looks, and it smells good, doesn't it?
It smells great.
So Sean, I'm gonna have you add the cheese to that chicken.
Okay, the whole thing?
Yep. And that's just a ½ cup of cheese, any type of white cheese. You could do mozzarella, or really any type of white cheese will work. and just stir that until it's combined. Our sauce is all ready to go. So now we're gonna take our chicken filling and we're gonna fill some tortillas and use our sauce on top. So we're really just gonna make about 8 tortillas, if you can kind of eyeball about how much will go into each one, but really enough that it's gonna fill a tortilla. So that looks good.
That looks good?
Yep. And then I can go ahead and roll them up if you wanna continue to fill them.
Okay.
Now, Sean, tell me about what you feel like you miss most when it comes to working outside of the home. I already know what it is.
Well, I think the main thing is your food.
That's a good answer. I actually didn't expect that one.
But
no, I secretly paid him to.
Well, honestly, because
to
I feel like
that.
I have to, you're on the go, you eat out more, and you don't feel as filled and.
Yeah, I pack sandwiches for him for lunch. So when he would stay at home, I would make him, a whole sheet pan meal, anything that you would eat for dinner, basically, most people would eat for dinner, is what I would serve you for lunch.
Yeah, but I think I miss being with you and Maddie, and they're only little for so long, so it's hard just not being home throughout the day and playing the little games that she wants to play, hide and seek and statues and all the other games. So.
Well, I have to say it does make meals a little bit easier now.
Oh, so it's easier, okay.
Now that I only have 2 mouths to feed, soon to be 3. But yeah, that actually is not something though that I minded. I really do miss just having. I do. I miss having you home for lunch and breakfast and just spending a lot of time together in the mornings. But one of the things with Sean being home is that it's easy for me to work and to get into a working mentality.
Yeah.
So I would just kind of say, okay, you got Maddie. So Sean was just kind of like Mr. Mom for her first 3 years.
Yeah.
And I worked a lot.
Lots of games.
Yeah, so.
Lots of coloring, lots of crafts.
Lots of reading books. And so now that Sean's gone, it's made it so that I am more intentional in spending time with Maddie.
Yeah.
Which has been a good
thing. I get to come
thing.
home and see all the crafts that you guys do, which
Yes.
is super fun.
So now I'm kind of getting that time to spend with her rather than working. And it's a really good balance, I think. Okay, so you can see how I used most of the sauce. You could just use the whole thing, just kind of dump it over. Can't go wrong, but I'm just kind of using what I think looks good to us. That looks good.
Does look good.
Then I'm gonna top it with some more cheese. So we have 2 more cups of cheese. You don't have to use the whole thing, just again, what looks good for you. All right, what do you think, Sean? That looks pretty good,
It's
huh?
really good.
Smells good too.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna bake this 375 degrees for 20 to 25 minutes. The cheese will be melted. They will be so wonderful.
I can't wait.